All right, so have you noticed this too? It feels like new phone releases aren't as exciting as they used to be. Back in the day, a new phone was a huge deal.
Okay, for sure.
Like colored screens,
Right.
internet access.
Absolutely.
Remember trying to share videos with, what was it, infrared?
Oh, the struggles.
Total pain. But now it's like, what? A slightly better camera?
Yeah.
A faster processor?
Yeah, it's not really groundbreaking.
Exactly. So this deep dive, we're going to look into why that is. We've got this really interesting analysis that breaks it all down.
Okay, so I think one of the key things here is this idea of diminishing returns.
Okay.
Like, think about early camera phones. Going from no camera to a camera, that was a huge EE.
Absolutely.
But now, going from a 15-megapixel camera to a 45.
Yeah, not so much.
It's impressive, technically.
Yeah.
But does it really change how you use your phone?
No, not really. And this analysis actually gets into the technical reasons why those camera improvements feel so small.
Yeah, like the physical limitations of those tiny phone cameras.
Oh, right.
Sensor size is a big one. You can cram more megapixels in, but the pixels get smaller, which actually can make things worse, especially in low light.
Oh, interesting.
And then you've got image processing, like the software that tries to make your photos look better.
Right.
But even the best software can only do so much when the hardware is limited.
So it's kind of a combination of things. It's not just about the megapixels. It's everything coming together and hitting this limit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And are we maybe being tricked by marketing? Like into thinking we need these tiny upgrades?
Oh, 100%. Like, we've been trained to want something new every year.
Right.
But if you think back to, like, the early 2000s, it was all about figuring out what a smartphone even was.
Absolutely.
Like, building those core functions we take for granted now.
And this analysis actually has this amazing Radio Shack ad from 1991.
What?
They're selling separate gadgets for everything we do on our phones now.
Yeah.
A camera, pager, a massive mobile phone. It's crazy.
I can't even picture it.
Yeah, it's wild to see how far we've come.
And it happened so fast. The first iPhone, 2007,
Yeah.
Steve Jobs called it, touch screens were the future. And it feels like once we had those building blocks, the innovation shifted.
Yeah, instead of focusing so much on hardware, it became about software.
Right, so now we're not just seeing faster processors and bigger screens.
It's about the software that runs on those things.
Like how Samsung's been adding AI features through updates.
Exactly.
And even Apple Intelligence is supposed to be mostly software-based.
Right. But isn't that part of the e-waste problem, though?
Oh, definitely.
Like, we're constantly told to upgrade our phones to get the latest software, even if the hardware's fine.
It's this weird catch-22. We're getting cooler software, but it's tied to the newest hardware. So it feeds this whole cycle of buying new stuff.
And that's obviously not great for the environment.
Which brings us to the next big thing this analysis dives into. The environmental cost of all this.
Uh-oh.
We'll get into that after the break. It's kind of scary when you think about all the environmental stuff.
Yeah, it's easy to forget about it when you're focused on that shiny new phone.
Totally. But this analysis, it really goes in depth about the environmental costs of, well, basically our smartphone addiction.
It's a good point. We don't always think about the whole life cycle of a smartphone.
From the mining
Yeah, all the raw material.
to throwing them away.
Millions of devices.
It's wild. And it's not good.
Not at all.
They talked about the mining of rare earth metals.
Oh, right. For all the components.
And apparently it creates a ton of toxic waste.
That doesn't sound good.
There was this one stat. It said that to get just 1 ton of these minerals,
Okay.
you can end up with 2,000 tons of toxic byproducts.
Wow, seriously.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then you've got the energy use from manufacturing.
Oh, of course.
All the shipping emissions.
It adds up.
It's like, is that must-have upgrade really worth all that?
Right, makes you think.
And then we talk about recycling, but
But it's not a perfect solution.
this analysis basically says a lot of those recycled materials claims are greenwashing.
Yeah, you can't really get those precious metals back that easily.
Like, it's super hard. And even when recycling is done right, only a tiny bit actually gets reused.
So we're basically left with these mountains of e-waste just sitting in landfills.
And those chemicals can leak out.
Not good.
It makes you think, maybe we should keep our phones longer.
Yeah, if we all held on to them for just 1 or 2 more years,
Imagine how much less demand there would be for new devices.
would it make a big difference? But it can't just be about individuals.
Right.
The companies need to be held accountable too.
They need to make the whole process more sustainable.
Exactly.
Like, I'm thinking about Fairphone. They make those phones you can repair.
Oh, the modular ones?
Yeah, that feels like a good step. And it made me think about game consoles.
What about them?
They only release new ones every 6 or 7 years,
That's true.
and people still line up to buy them.
That's because they're actually big upgrades.
Exactly. What if we did that with phones?
Instead of tiny changes every year, we get big changes every few years.
Like, imagine how exciting that would be.
Yeah,
Instead of just a slightly better camera or whatever.
but let's be real, phones are expensive.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people can't just buy a new one every few years.
That's true. It feels like we're stuck, paying more for less.
And the planet suffers.
It's tough. But, okay, so what if smartphones are kind of hitting their limit?
What do you mean?
Well, this analysis actually talks about what the NXT big tech thing could be.
Oh, interesting.
And it's not what you'd expect. Okay, so you're going to think I'm making this up.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
What if the next big tech thing
Yeah.
isn't even a thing?
Okay, now you've lost me.
It's about brain-computer interfaces.
BCIs.
Yeah, like straight out of sci-fi, right?
It does sound a bit out there, but I know there's been some research on it.
Oh, yeah. The analysis says it's moving fast. Like, imagine browsing the internet.
With your mind.
Yeah, making calls, typing, just using your thoughts.
Oh, but that's just like replacing your phone.
Yeah.
This analysis, it went even further, right?
Way further.
Yeah.
Controlling prosthetic limbs, even monitoring your brain for diseases.
Okay, now that's getting a little freaky.
Right. Like, who gets to see all that brain data? Talk about a privacy nightmare.
Seriously. And the analysis did mention some downsides. This tech, it's powerful stuff.
Powerful and potentially dangerous.
Definitely. But it could also be amazing. People with paralysis, they could walk again.
True. Or people with neurological disorders could get better treatments. It's wild.
It's like any new tech, I guess. Exciting and terrifying all at the same time.
Reminds me of when smartphones first came out, you know? All that hype, nobody knew what would happen.
Exactly. So are we going to make the same mistakes again? Or can we learn from it?
That's the big question. And this analysis, it doesn't give us the answer, but it definitely makes you think.
If BCIs become the new smartphones, we need to be ready. We need to talk about this stuff, NOW.
Absolutely. So, to sum up our deep dive today, smartphone innovation, maybe it's slowing down, but that doesn't mean technology is stopping.
It might just be changing, evolving into something completely new.
Maybe something we can't even picture yet.
And maybe this time, we can do it better. Think about the consequences from the start. The good AD, the bad.
That's the hope. Well, that's it for our look at the world of smartphones, or maybe the world beyond smartphones. What do you think? Are those yearly phone upgrades still worth it? Is a future with BCIs exciting or terrifying? Head to the comments and let us know. We want to hear your thoughts.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time, stay curious.